that we're not doing this all in one day. That was my whole point. It's like, we have like the work sessions. Think about it, deliberate. So now look at all the stuff we went through today and we're gonna have to make decisions tonight. Like that's the part
Sunbeam lives.
Barely.
we can do.
Didn't realize how soon I could react to that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, have more time to research. Are we ready? All right, so it is 6:12 PM on February 5th. 2025, and we are starting or opening the joint city council and planning commission just a little bit late. So apologies of those that were waiting and also ones that were trying to get online.
All right, well, I'll kick it off. This is might be a fairly familiar topic here. The siting of our new police station that we've been trying to do for several years now, and it's been the product meetings, I'll say that, and about priorities, site locations, all of everybody. I think most everybody knows the history of how this has been really difficult to find a home for our new station. And I've asked.
I'm the only one on the planning commission that's been here from the beginning, so I don't know if you need to clarify anything for any of the other planning commissioners. Sorry to interrupt, but
We're gonna go through the hearing that we did at the last planning commission, or the presentation we did at the last planning. Mackenzie's gonna lead us in that. Adrian and Brian and Jeff. I was leading, but
Time to go.
time to go. Yep.
All right. Let's see here.
Well, Jeff's getting ready. At the last meeting, they gave direction to work on the high school site, and so he headed off and did some due diligence. We did some geotech. Looked at some of the civil issues, the drainage, did an environmental study on the buildings, study of the wetlands. Kind of, it's believed to be an easier build, and we're finding that it might be actually fairly challenging to build there. So, kind of having a relook and our priorities, the work that we've done.
Yeah. I'm Jeff Humphreys. I'm one of the principals at Mackenzie. With me today, we have Adrian Linton, who's an architect and project manager for you on this project. And we have there Brian Vericchione, who's a land use planner, also on the project. And we are pulling up here, and we're going to have in just a moment our PowerPoint to be able to walk you through this project as Adrian pulls that out. As John's indicated, this project has been a long time in the making. I went back and looked. Like, we signed the original contract for the needs assessment in 2019, and we've been working with the city through various to try to get us to this point. Tonight, what we're going to talk a little bit about is the things that we went through, a quick overview of the existing conditions, talking about 2 subject sites, and then we're going to walk you through an exercise of having you actually rank that site, hopefully with the idea that we walk away with some level of consensus that this is the site that appears to be the one that's favored by everybody collectively. So we have
And you need the presentation, like how to present up here.
You need to send it to me and I can send it to you.
Okay.
Alright. Just forward that email.
So while that's being forwarded, so in 2019, we got kicked off on developing a needs assessment, and that needs assessment did a couple of things. One, looked at the deficiencies in the existing building that police resided, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. And then it went through and evaluated long-term space needs work for the department. And then from that, we developed a design and forecasted a cost, which the city acted on. And
And just for clarification, the design has been scaled back from the original design, right? So that's also something to know.
It's approximately 9,000 square feet. Originally, it had a larger community room component to it and also a functional component for court, and that was scaled back. Those are no longer present. And we will share with that, since we have some filler time here. We have developed this to a point we're in design development, so it's fairly far along, and both the subject sites we're gonna be looking at tonight can take this building, we can take it and move it.
Right.
It may have to be a flip or a thing, but generally, everything that has been done will be able to work on the existing two sites that we're gonna look at. The thing that would be different, of course, would be the site design, because it's all the same. Still nothing's coming through yet?
You big?
Super large.
You have it in a PDF by any chance?
It is on a PDF. It's.
Oh, okay.
So the site where the police station is currently is not being considered any longer?
Actually, I don't know.
The existing footprint, you have 13 and 13th Street.
Correct. Yeah.
That, this building does not fit on that site.
Yeah, so that, maybe again, since we have filler on here, so back in 2020, when we were developing the needs assessment, we looked at a number of different sites, I think it's around 10 different sites, including the existing police site. It doesn't, it's T-shaped, if you will, as far as what the city actually owns, and just not a way, even before we designed this, there wasn't a really good way of getting a building that would meet the programmatic and the parking requirements to fit on that site. Plus, the challenge on that specific site was, were the police going to go when we tear the building down to build a new building for 12 plus months? So.
What's gonna happen to the old police station then? It's gonna be demoed or?
So
To be determined.
there was a committee whose goal was finance. And I think their recommendation was that the sale of that property would go towards this effort. If I remember correctly. Now, it doesn't mean we have to do that. I think it was a recommendation. But there is that history. Discussion.
That was with the ads.
Yeah.
See, I have a thumb drive that we could put it on, but I do not, so.
I just tried sending it just.
Okay.
We have an HDMI cord. You can just plug it right in.
Yeah, do, okay. Got it, okay, all right, awesome, thank you.
One handy.
And you'll know which one it is because it'll be the one that isn't about animal law. Super easy.
I don't know, you never know.
Yeah, well,
So, yeah.
you made it up with PowerPoint designers. Who knows?
Been kind of a zoo of a process.
But
They're more complex than I realized.
that's, yeah. Hang out with, well, I wish I got to hang out with more of the animals. Mostly I just write about them.
While we're waiting, since I'm the most senior person on the planning commission, we just wanted to welcome you. Looking forward to working with you and excited to hear feedback from your first meeting I watched, and that you guys were so complimentary to the planning commission and the work we do. We appreciate it. We look forward to working with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited about it as well. You guys have a tough job.
Appreciate it.
Do we have a vacancy on? the
We
planning?
do.
We have one?
One more. You take Dan's position, you pass it. Yeah. Oh. I'm vice chair, so. Well.
Okay, so.
There we go.
There we go.
Kind of covered the opening part of it now, we're gonna talk a little bit about.
Thank you.
Yeah, we know that there's a few new faces in here, so we kind of wanted to reestablish what the police currently have. This is the existing police station. I don't know if everyone's been inside there. It's approximately 2,000 square feet for the main building. It has 24 people that work in and out of it, 21 sworn officers. Anyone who's been in a standard residential house, approximately 2,000 square feet, knows how difficult it would be to work with 24 people coming and going all day long. Of a site, a space that big. In addition to the space issues, there are seismic deficiencies for this building. It would not last in a significant earthquake. It also has code issues and accessibility issues. If you go to the next slide. This is some photos of the interior space. They've really done what they can as far as storage. They use some spaces for multiple purposes, like the briefing room in the top left corner. That space is used for their breaks, for their conferences, for their daily briefings, and they actually process evidence in there as well. Anyone who knows the type of evidence that come into a police facility, it's probably not the best spot to also eat your lunch, right? So that space is a multi-purpose space. Additionally, they have uniform storage in the bottom right. We kind of would like to see that in a more controlled situation, more controlled room. So that's just some general interior shots. And then there's one more page, the next page. You can see kind of the existing server and storage room. The couple of photos I'd like to point out there. The existing break room, the amenities are quite small for 24 people. You know, little half fridge and a microwave. That line for the microwave is probably quite long at break time. And then that evidence room with the red tape, that blue door. So evidence storage is really important to police cases. It's the chain of custody in order to prove that it hasn't been broken. Like that's super important in order to prove your case and successfully take that to court. So this is an example of how they've creatively been able to do that, but something that wouldn't necessarily be accredited through the agencies that do that. So those are just some existing photos. After that, Brian's gonna walk us through the sites that we've been looking at.
All right, thank you. So we have a map here of the city aerial photo, and we've marked 4 different sites on there. The first, number 1, is 1771 Columbia Boulevard. That's one of the sites we're talking about tonight. The other one's 2675 Gibb Road, High School. 3 and 4 are kind of for context. Site 3 is the existing police station on Columbia Boulevard, and 4 is the site that was studied on Old Portland Road and Gaston Road. Just so you get some bearings in there. Next slide, please. So we'll step through the 2 sites, the one on Columbia Boulevard and the one on Gable Road. We've got some background info, we've got some numbers, we've got some pictures, because everyone likes to get a picture. These are fairly high level site layouts that were done mostly for study purposes, in which the previously determined building size was plunked onto the site, and then we tried to figure out where to put parking and such. Don't take too much stock into this being the final site layout. That is all subject to change once the site is actually picked and further design work is done. But the things I wanted to point out here, we've got frontage on 4 different streets. 17th and 18th are on the east and west side. Columbia Boulevard at the north side and Cowlett Street on the south side. So this takes up a full block, and it's just over an acre in size. One of the significant things to notice is there's kind of a hatch right through the middle of the site, which might be a little hard to detect, but there's an existing sanitary sewer pipe through the site. So clearly that would need to get relocated in order to accommodate the building. It's feasible, but of course it needs money and time. The zoning here, the northern quarter or so of the block is in the Holton Business District zone, and in that zone, police facilities are allowed outright. The southern 3/4 of the block are zone general commercial. Police stations or public safety facilities are not listed in that zone. So talking with Jacob, city staff recommends rezoning the whole site to a zone that would clearly list public safety facilities.
And that was the original proposal back in 2008. It was all supposed to be Holton Business District. Wayne Wygant wanted the 75%. Sorry, Brian, I don't want.
No, this is great. I don't know the history. Yeah.
So at the time, the Holton Business District zone prohibited residential on the first floor. The owner, current owner, still Wayne Wygant, He had some thoughts about building apartments there. He wanted to maintain that right. But since then, we've removed that prohibition in that zoning district. So that's no longer an issue and we never built apartments. So I think rezoning that would be a real easy endeavor, not a controversial obstacle.
And then you have a whole block in the same zone, which is nicer than a line right now, which is fairly arbitrary through the block. You know, rezoning does take some time. There's a process, goes to planning commission, city council, so it's not easy. It seems feasible. Assuming that's done, then the land use process is site development. Which can be done by staff unless elevated up to the public hearing for visibility. I mentioned the sanitary sewer cost, and some construction cost estimates. Just the site work itself was estimated at about $10.7 million. But then when you add in sewer relocation and potential street improvements along the various spaces, the number comes up to $11.2 million. Remind me how recent these numbers are.
Those were done probably in the last year.
So a few months old, but not ancient.
Did you say those numbers included the property cost to purchase the property?
No,
Does
that
not.
was not.
Okay, so that's something else to consider.
Site development only then.
And is this site in the urban growth boundary?
Yeah, it's within city limits already.
I just want to make sure that we're thinking about all of those pieces.
Absolutely. Before I switch to the next, any other questions on this segment?
The one thing I do want to notice on this one, is in the Holton Business District, you're abutting on-street parking counts towards your parking requirement. And, you know, the parking requirement is probably easy to meet, but on the right side, that was the old Ace Hardware building. And long before that, it was a bowling alley. There's a lot of on-street parking that abuts the site, that would be an amenity. It's not necessarily within the parameter of the site.
Okay, let's look at the next one then. Thanks. So this is the Gable Road site. For context, the high school is kind of down off the page to the bottom right. So it's east and south of it. School district owns this site presently, and it's 3 different lots. 2 of them where we've drawn the building and the parking area are in the city already. And then there's one additional lot to the west, which has not yet been annexed. It's in Columbia County. So the county zone does not permit police facilities at all. We haven't drawn that we're using it. Could be used for future expansion. In which case, then it would need to be annexed and rezoned to city zone. The city zone here is apartment residential. That one does not list public safety facilities of no use. Again, coordinating with Jacob, he recommends zone change there to residential R5, which would be consistent with a comprehensive plan. And does allow public safety facilities with a conditional use permit.
I think,
Or
okay,
public lands.
Yeah.
We're simpatico here. The idea here, given the context, you know, there's some residences on the east side. And there was a wetland kind of in the top left, or northwest corner. So it's not a whole block like the other one, but the site's big, it's 1.7 acres. And it actually extends farther south, so for instance, maybe the parking could be reconfigured. There's a little bit more flexibility in that regard. So if this gets rezoned to a zone that allows them as conditional uses, then the process is planning commission hearing to get the conditional use approval, which talks not only about site and building design, but context with the surrounding neighborhoods and compatibility and so forth. And then finally, potentially a lot line adjustment or a partition may be required. Right now, the lot lines would go through the building, through the site. And also unclear perhaps on whether the school district will sell the entirety of it or they might want to retain a portion.
yeah, we're pretty sure they do want to retain a portion because they've talked about expanding their track and field facilities. In fact, they've already taken down a fence, but I think they put it back up. The council heard that from some of the neighbors today.
That's a different matter. So the wetlands here, are not deemed significant by the city, so no city regulations to deal with. But they're still regulated by, Oregon Department of State Lands. Possibly also the US Corps of Engineers, depending on if they check certain boxes. So any impacts to the wetlands would be permits from the state and the Corps of Engineers. It may be possible to design in such a way that there aren't those impacts and just kind of leave it up alone. That'd be ideal, but have to be explored still.
If the permits are required, do we have a sense of how likely we are to get those or how long the process takes?
I'm not a wetland
I
scientist.
know.
I'll tell you though, time can be 9 to 12 months.
Got it.
And approvability, generally, I'll go for it. But you know, you need to bring in an expert for that.
Sure.
And there could be compensation costs.
Yes.
So there's a monetary aspect that's kind of unknown.
Is there a portion of the site that is wetlands, the other site portion is not? You can build on
Yeah,
that.
so it's kind of the speckling
Okay.
in this corner where we're not showing any development. So
Okay.
we're trying to put it.
You could, yeah, you can kind of build around it.
Yeah, but you know, we'd have to get delineated by a wetland scientist to find the precise boundaries. And then you know whether you're impacting it or not. Costs. Construction costs, so about $10.6 million for site prep costs. We think, the contractor thinks it'll be another around a couple $100,000 to do some improvements on Alder Street here. Mostly for secondary access for emergencies, whether it's fire truck or police needed to get out. If for some reason their main driveway, the gateway were blocked or what have you. So combined about 10.8. Doesn't count wetland mitigation cost, doesn't count purchase price.
Is there a sewer issue up there as well, Jacob? Is there anything like that it'd need a pump station or anything like that? Or we'd have to tie in like a half mile down or?
It's the same issue that we have with our citywide conveyance problems. And so, you know, the surcharge issue, you know, it's just something we have to accept.
Are there any of the, have you estimated any of the cost to install utilities?
I don't think the contractor captured that yet.
No, just any utilities that are on site. So this is like inclusive of the building and the site as shown here, developed to this.
No power.
You know, it'd
There would be.
complete from the building
Yeah.
and its site, just nothing as far as utilities
Offsite.
offsite. Yeah.
Okay.
So happy to answer other questions on this site, otherwise.
So that's the final price for everything on both sides is all that stuff. It's like that now.
Hard costs only. So
Yeah,
it doesn't include soft costs, your permits, your fees, your consultants, your. So it's just the construction of the actual building. the
Typically, how
site.
much percentage of?
It's about 30%. This is about 7%. Soft costs are about 40%.
yeah, so just to recap the total numbers for both of them, it was about 11.2 million for the first site. And 10.8 for Gable Road. Right. Thank you.
Making me nervous with these cords.
I know. Okay, so we've given you an overview of the sites and we took a little bit of time to think of some advantages and disadvantages. These are not by any means the only ones, but these are the ones that struck us. So for the 1771 Columbia Boulevard, it's more centrally located when you look at your community. That's an advantage associated with it. It's a much more prominent civic location, being on Columbia Boulevard there. It's closer to the to this building, it's closer to government function. There's no wetlands on the site. One of the advantages of the site over the other is it's a gridded system, so you have public parking all the way around it. That was the thing that we highlighted. Disadvantages, that sanitary line is going to have to be relocated because there's not a way of physically putting the current design building on there without impacting that. So it's not like we can turn it or move it over here. It's like. And then the advantage of having all that parking has the disadvantage of like, now we're gonna do curb and sidewalk and make all the improvements associated with that. So that's a disadvantage. The other thing, as you saw in our test fit, we're building out the entire site. There's no additional future expansion or anything like that. Now, I'll only pause on that because this is a 50-year facility. We designed it so that it's going to get through there. And generally, the thing that you start to see as far as the growth goes is more patrol officers, which acting police chief could speak to. So more than likely, you're not going to run into an issue where you have to add more building timeframe. Moving to 2675 Gable Road, advantages. We would have to work with the school district to figure out exactly where that line is going to be, but there is extra land there. So it's possible that there could be future expansion. Less street improvements just because it's just in the front there. And then something that could be saw as an advantage would be the building can actually be set back away from the street, so you could have a buffer. Whereas Columbia is much more urban, and the building will be very close to the back of the sidewalk, so it'll be a much more urban setting type of thing. Disadvantages, there is a wetland. As Brian has shared with you, we're already trying to distance ourselves from it, but there is have to be delineated and another distinct difference between the two sites is Columbia much more commercial in nature, whereas Gable is much more residential, and there is a wild card of people not wanting something like this facility, this public safety facility in their backyard. So a question of what that would do for our land use approval process. Conditional use permit, Brian about that. And then any development on the county's own parcel would require annexation into the city. Again, it's one of those things where we're thinking we're not going to touch that, so we wouldn't have to go through that. But if we did do something there, that would be okay. So those are kind of a first pass at 3 or 4 advantages and disadvantages for the two sites. And short of comment or questions that you guys have on here, we're going to move to the next slide and go through a ranking.
My only question is on the on the Columbia Boulevard site, why would they have to do street improvements on Columbia Boulevard when they're already done?
Yeah, so that's a good thing to mention. So for many years, when we've had development proposals, even with the corridor plan, which shows an upgraded street frontage improvement along Columbia Boulevard, the question that we posed to the commission in various development proposals, if the sidewalk is intact and in a reasonable state of repair, should it be upgraded to the new standard? And consistently over the years, the planning commission has agreed to leave the intact frontage improvement in place. So I think it's going to be a question. And if we go with this workshop, it's probably, with the site, it's probably a good idea to have a workshop on, there's been a pretty consistent pattern of that kind of decision making. But because it's a public project, and we want to quote unquote set an example, do we want to go the extra mile with these improvements, or try to be okay with what's existing, assuming its state of repair is adequate?
And that was the question. We had to scrutinize that, but it's like street trees, cracks in the sidewalk. What does the scoring look like related to the rest of the development? Some of that might be, you don't have to, the HDA doesn't force you. But the owner, who is the city, is going to elect to do it because they want the improvements to actually match the building and look, modern, if you will. So something to sort through. Okay, in front of you.
I have a question about sewage.
Yeah.
With the sewage, I'm not sure, I know if I recall correctly, go right on the center of the site. And could it not be offset towards the parking spaces?
Would it not be?
Could you not offset it and just?
Yeah, as they explained, it would have to be moved, so it's not within the building footprint.
It's only a
Right in the center now.
Yeah.
It's only a 6-inch line and it's not very deep, so it's very movable.
Okay.
If you're asking, were we thinking that it's moving to the street? We haven't given any thought to that, other than the fact that it's in the building footprint, so it would have to be relocated. So it could be shifted over and be in the parking area.
Yeah, just wondering, curious about that.
Okay, all right. In front of you is ranking criteria. There are 18 different criteria that we're going to go through. And these things vary don't worry about reading them. I'm gonna walk you through them. But they vary from cost of land, which we don't really have the data on that. Maybe Jacob has the cost of land or could give us a swag on that. I don't know, but it varies from that to on the far end of it would be response time. And you could kind of speak to us on what that means. And then there could be other things like existing design reuse, right? And these different criteria that we have listed in here are the same criteria that we used to rank the original 10 sites, with the exception of item number 4. Item number 4, I think, was for multi-use, and we're not looking at something like that anymore. These sites are not open to be able to have that type of thing. But we have changed that to be, would the site accommodate the existing design? Other than that, these are the same criteria that we looked at before. So, Mayor, we can start with you and maybe we just go clockwise as far as having people rank these. What we want you to do is classify each of these different criteria as a 1 or a 2 being the most suited, and 1 being least suited. And if you give it to us verbally, in addition to actually going through this, we're going to record it on here. And we originally had the idea that we are going to televise it so you can actually see it, but obviously that's not working for us. But we will have it. She's going to actually have it on there so we can actually have the tally in addition to what you guys are recording. It is possible that you might have a category like the existing design reuse, in which case both of them are completely capable, and so they can both be ranked to be the same. But if there's a difference, please look at that. So, Mayor, we'll start with you. Sorry.
I just want to do.
Yeah.
On the cost of the land.
Oh, thank you.
Gonna say you.
Hold it right there.
Yeah,
Let's
please.
start off on that in a quick imbalance right there.
Okay.
The Columbia Boulevard site is anyway, it's not fully negotiated, anywhere from 250 to 500,000 more than the Cable Road site.
Okay.
As discussions of this property.
Okay.
owners, so.
All right. So that could be one could perceive that as like, well, it's more costly for the site. So that means it's going to be lower value and you rank it as a 1, but it could also be in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge
Too,
difference.
right? Doesn't that negate it with the cost of the site development?
He's saying that in
Actually, yeah.
addition to that, yeah, or yeah. He's just saying in addition to that, that's the cost that we've looked at for those 2 properties and one's less than the other.
171 was about 250 to 500,000 more than Cable. Well, based on, you said 11.2 for the Gables site, right?
There may be other factors that offset that.
11.2 for Holton.
Yeah, Holton and then okay, so I would say that based on price, it would be site 2 would be a lower cost, obviously, so for cost of land and site development. Site 1, site 2 would be 1 and site 1.
Okay. Yeah, that record, you'll just give me a positive so we can move forward.
1771 is 2 and Gable is 1.
Okay, it might be easier for us to refer to them as the one from 9, so for Columbia. So, okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
You want to just go this way? So
Yep.
concrete.
Do we, okay, explanations?
It's, we're still doing number 1, so
Yep.
everyone's gonna get the chance to do, and if
Yep.
you just agree with the mayor, you can just say the same or ditto or.
Let's say that Columbia Boulevard might be preferred, the cost of the land, its site development.
Okay. So it'll be number 2.
2
Okay.
and then Gable 1.
Okay.
Okay, and then if we can have people give me their names as their.
So not to complicate things, but now I'm curious what prompted you to put Columbia first? Because it seems like there might be something I need to think about.
Cable Road, there's unknown expense, wetlands issues,
got it.
the time, the delay, interest, accrue,
This is helpful to them.
other factors.
And also purchasing it, there could be beneficial factors for purchasing it from the seller. We've talked to him and
Yes.
there may be some benefits to him in the city to pull this thing off.
That is,
And
he's
also you're
referring to
talking-
Holton, not Gable.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of unknowns.
you.
We're not
Yeah,
we're
that's
not
back-
apprised to, right? If you give us 11.2 million, you're giving us like essentially a
Yeah.
hard cost that like without this backstory.
There's really unknowns to both of you.
Yeah.
you're also buying urban property rather than a piece of farmland.
Well, in that case, my name is David, and for what it's worth, given what we know and leaving aside the unknowns, because I don't know how to weigh unknowns. I would say that the Gable Road site is the less expensive, and that would make it one and the other two for cost of land site development.
1771 is 2, Gable is 1.
Didn't you say least suited is 1 and 2 is most?
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
So that would
Other
actually.
way
be
around.
2,
Okay.
and I think that was actually what
Yeah.
you said as well, so
Okay.
it should also be
Holy
a.
crikey.
Okay.
Started not very well.
Sorry, I was
Make
thinking
sure
of one is for.
that was said, as I totally thought about it, and I was like, wait, are they saying the wrong thing?
It will take a while, but it'll go fast.
Is the highest.
Right, I just want to make sure you got those numbers right, because that was backwards.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
we talked about that internally also, because you, like, number 1 is the preferred site. right?
Yeah.
It's, yeah,
But it's actually, you want to get more points,
Well-
if that's the one you're preferring.
exactly.
I'll be ready next time.
Okay, it might save a little bit of time. My colleague just suggested, it's like, well, we just need to know the one that's the preferred, and then we don't need to talk about.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, okay, that's save a little bit of time, because we do have a lot of criteria.
Names or just.
Yeah, I'm recording everything. Brandon's-
That's held preferred.
Yeah.
It's not either. Yeah, we'll streamline this.
Yeah.
And it's ones and zeros.
Yeah, there you go.
Scott, I do have a question because these criteria are not equally weighted. I mean,
That's
cost has so much more to do with it than the shape of the site. So, I mean, I'm gonna give you, finally come to a score and it's not really gonna be reflective of
Right.
actual feeling.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. We don't typically weight them, but that is something that the city could elect to do after the go through with this.
So I mean, it's just by cost factoring, it's 2 for cable. Scott, yeah, that's, if I didn't say that already.
Mark, well, I'm a little confused. So Gable Road is the less expensive. And so that's an attraction for it. Does that make it 1 or the other one? 2. 2 and a 1.
2 for good. Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm a 1 for Gable and 2 for Columbia, just because I think there's a no cost that we aren't seeing.
Okay, and I'm sorry, what was your name?
Brooke,
That's the factor.
Jennifer, and I'm the same.
Jessica.
2 for 1771 and a 1 for Gable.
Well, I think you can save that for both sites too. There's unknown
And
factors.
Jessica.
Jessica, I'm a preferred Gable, secondary Columbia.
For Columbia Boulevard.
Russ.
Awesome. Okay, the next one, it might be really easy. So size of site, they're both adequate for the use. So unless you were seeing something different, you could rank them both the same value of 2 or a 1. There, kick us off.
Columbia Boulevard.
Columbia.
This is just, can it hold the building, not, does it generate extra land?
That is correct. Yes.
They both hold the building, they both have the same score as far as I'm concerned.
You can do that. So you could give them both 1s or both 2s.
Sure. It's a wash either way. Give them both the same number, whichever one you want.
17.
All right.
This is size of site,
Yes.
preferred Gable.
I'm a 2 on both.
And if you guys ever wanted us to toggle back to one of the images, we can put this up there now, so.
And also the Columbia is a little over an acre, but it does fit everything on it and then Gable Road's.
Columbia, because we don't know about the wetland.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, Columbia. I spoke.
That's okay. We may have a few of those as we go through. That's okay.
Figure it out.
I will put the 2 in the right spot.
Yeah.
Is it to me now?
Yeah.
After all that. I rank them the same, so.
Preferred Gable.
Cable.
Oh, no, excuse me, I'm, say Columbia.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Columbia.
You,
First numbers and then their accents, then.
So I didn't share with you, but this isn't criteria that we necessarily made up. There is an association called the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And this is criteria that they have. And we use that as a starting point. Sometimes we'll make modifications like item number 4, which is existing design reuse. But This next one, shape of site, is probably not very applicable. It's made to, like, if you had a star-shaped site versus one that was rectilinear, it would probably be easier to accommodate a building on the rectilinear site. Since both of the sites can accommodate the program, shape of site probably is, it's probably not a difference between the two, but we left the criteria because it is what it is.
I did Columbia just because I like the location for the site better.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
They're equal weight.
Okay.
Equal. And David equal.
Columbia.
I would.
Mark, Columbia.
Equal.
Columbia.
Columbia.
So that was number 3. The next one is existing design reuse. So again, both of the sites can accommodate it, so this might really be the same ranking that you just went through.
Columbia.
John?
Equal.
David equal.
Columbia. Columbia, Mark.
Columbia.
Columbia.
Gable.
Columbia.
Right. Okay, these next two, we'll have to rely on you more than our understanding of it, but public access to site for the vehicle. So when we look at maps and think about the site, they seem like they're pretty equal as far as being able to get to, but this is your community, so you may have a better understanding or feel for what it's like trying to navigate to either one of these sites. So if you had to go to the police to do something, report a crime or whatever it is that you had to do, is one site more heavily weighted, more advantageous than the other site? So both of them not accommodate really the public parking, it's really just getting to the site.
I think Columbia.
Citizens getting to the site,
Getting to
enforcement.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you want to take 5, 6, and 7 altogether or just public
We
access?
could, because we looked at public transit and it doesn't look like that's really
Yeah.
okay, all right, 5, 6, and 7. Yep.
Yeah, Columbia then.
Gonna be one. One of the, those are gonna be whole.
Yeah.
Six.
David, Columbia.
To me, they're equal in a vehicle.
What about the other two?
Translate, I don't think is very applicable since we don't have a transit system here in town, but pedestrian, I would say Columbia.
So that's a 2 in Columbia then as a result of that one. Okay, all right.
So I'm gonna go 2 on Columbia, I'm hoping first in the future to have Cranley. And that would be the easiest one to get.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Mark?
We're talking about ease of access and everything from across the board. Almost one preference.
Your preference, so that's 2.
I know.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Sorry.
Preference.
Whatever preference. Yeah.
Maybe a 1. That was his preference.
Columbia. I mean, they both have, I mean, one's next to a school, right? So it's not gonna hinder your access here. Trying to get there in a hurry from the highway and there's schools letting out, those kids don't look, but then there's a train on the other, they're equal. I got equal.
Equal for both.
I'm Columbia.
Columbia for all 3.
Columbia.
Thank you, Russ. The next one is visibility and prominence. So when you think of the placement of these, I mean, I spent some time on it, looking at it. One of them is largely a residential neighborhood. The other one is commercial development. So
Columbia.
David, Columbia.
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 Columbia, we have to say our name every time.
Columbia.
I'm Columbia as well.
And I'm Columbia, because that's very important presence.
it's very, very much so for civic buildings.
And if we're gonna put the money into building a civic building, may as well have it look nice and be somewhere people can see it.
That was the most obvious one to me where I think it was unanimous, maybe the first one. So, okay, the next one is only one, yeah. Proximity to government function. So it's important to have like civic structures closer together than one another. It makes it easier for citizens to be able to do their work that they need to when they're dealing with government agencies. So when you think of the proximity of this new police station, it's location to downtown, location to city hall, location to county
Court,
court.
Columbia.
Columbia.
Columbia. Columbia.
I think they're the same.
Almost unanimous, but thank you. Okay, yep. Okay, we are halfway through it. You guys are doing great. We've only had a few things of trying to figure out which numbers are the right ones, so. Okay, the next one is neighborhood context. Ranking evaluates the context of the site, surrounding property, evaluations, taking into account the nature of policing facilities, the scale of the facility as it relates to adjacent properties. So we have commercial properties and we have residential properties.
Yeah, I'm Columbia.
Columbia.
I'm sorry, what does this mean? Is this the impact on the neighborhood or?
It is, right? So if you were a neighbor, like there's
Right,
a house
Got it.
right off of Gable Road, and if you look at the placement of where we think we're gonna have to put the police facility on Gable Road, it's
yes,
gonna be 10 feet away.
I
from the
was
property line.
just wanted to make sure it wasn't the impact of the neighborhood on the facility, it's the other way around. I understand people get grumpy about having a police station in their backyard for reasons I don't understand, but Columbia it is.
Columbia.
That police station in my backyard would be great. That is true. Well, I plan to be in my house till I die, so.
Yeah, okay. Jessica?
I actually said Gable for this one.
Okay.
So.
That's yep.
Columbia.
Okay. Positioning facility on site. This one's probably equal between the two. This is a flexibility of being able to locate. So if you had a really big site, you can move the site or the building anyway around. Both of them have constraints, and so there's a limitation on what we can do. So in my mind, I think that they're probably both equal. Unless somebody feels different about these.
Sure.
All right. Security. So this next one, this is your context of the community to the facility. So, is this facility, appropriately located? What about public parking? Is it going to be easy for people to be seen and get to the building? Secure parking, is it going to be a spot where, again, you have a lot of eyes out onto that secure parking? Or is it buried behind something? It's dark, there's no lights back there. Like if you had a development that was next to a wooded area, that's a risk to this type of facility. There could be other parameters associated with that, but there is some distinct differences between Gable, which is a more rural natured site from the Columbia site. Mayor?
Columbia.
Yeah, Columbia, just because of the proximity to Highway 30, the lockdown room that facility is gonna have, people in crisis can come, go in that room, hit the panel, it'll lock the door and call the police.
They can.
Gable's farther away.
For sure, yeah. Well, Gable, part of what I was trying to allude to is Gable, on the backside of it is the school property and is not eliminated, and it is a risk factor associated with it. That is an unknown associated with the security of the facility.
Fair enough. Yeah, on that basis, I would say Columbia.
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 I'm Gable because of the proximity to the high school. So in my terms, that's safety.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Gable. I mean, God, no, I got.
I kind of like you sitting by me.
You know, I mean, that.
That's right. No, you
Columbia. Listen to you.
can't sit by me anymore.
It's like-
What's great about this is there's no wrong answers, right? You have an opinion of.
Mine are, hers are wrong.
I think both sides are great, honestly.
Even though somebody's opinion might be wrong.
Russ's.
You know, interesting enough, we chose not to participate in this. Sometimes Mackenzie will actually do our own ranking on it, and we'll share with you what ours is, but we have not done it. Okay, the next one is traffic congestion. And again, we have our perception, but we're not from your community. And so you guys are gonna have a better understanding of what you think that that's going to be like. But you have the commercial development on Columbia Road. There is already a level of traffic associated with that. And then when you bring the police on the Gable Road, that might be an increase from what they currently see. Both of the roads are prominent roads.
Yeah, I think I they're, I think, equal to me because we have the school zone there. We have that intersection, which I just happened to get in a serious accident on last Friday night in that intersection being T-boned. And then we have the traffic congestion here. So I'm gonna have to say that they're both equal to me.
Okay,
on that.
okay, that's fair. Sean?
Just so with the AM traffic with this school. I'm missing Columbia.
With the mayor on this, I'll say they're equal.
Equal. Say Columbia because of the traffic at school time.
Columbia. I'm with Scott, Columbia.
I'm saying Gable because I work on Gable and the school times are not that bad. And I'm more concerned about the one ways on.
You're trying to influence us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've had a police station over here for a period of time and it doesn't seem like that's been an issue that it's ever come up.
Columbia.
Like not Gable?
All right, so this next criteria is part of the regular criteria, but neither of the sites really have floodplain associated with them. Ironically, the Custer Road site did, but I'm, this one, we could just say they're equal. Okay, all right. Proximity to geographic center. So if you took and you plopped a dot where this site is and you looked at it compared to where it was in the community, which one is closer to the geographic center?
Big question. So this is a 50-year facility, right?
Yeah.
Is that geographic center right now or geographic center like over that 50 years?
Yeah, that's.
Good question. That's a good question. So my view when I looked at it is there's also significant differences between where the development actually is and what the type of development is. So not thinking with uses, just thinking of like, all right, when we say geographic center, is the center. Are there more calls that are in the denser commercial area versus a residential area?
What's your population?
Back like 3 slides.
Oh, yeah.
The map.
Chief,
And remember,
you could speak
the
to
map
that.
on the wall, the lavender line is the urban growth boundary.
This one shows you where.
The yellow line is city limits.
Okay.
And so that's reflecting city limits.
So 1 is Columbia and then 2 over there is Gable.
And then where's the urban growth boundary?
It doesn't look like the urban growth boundaries
it's
on
not.
that, but if you look at the line on the hard copy map, you can kind of, I mean, I look at maps every day, so I guess I take that for granted.
Which color line is it?
The lavender one,
It's the lavender, so this is the urban growth.
So that goes to show you like the potential growth of the city.
Right. Would be.
you do have a pretty good chunk in the southwest quadrant for growth or increased density.
Potential.
There's a whole fast for growing. Sure. And then it's, the break even point is 25 years now.
Do we have a sense from our police department about where most of the calls are coming from now?
Have an idea.
And this plays into number 18,
Response time, yeah.
and so I can jump ahead or talk about a
Sure.
rate.
Yeah. Chief, yeah.
Well, I think as technology advances and we're certainly going to a records management system that's going to really condense the amount of time that officers need to be at the station in the first place. And so there's a conception that every call that comes out that, you know, the doors open and the officers respond from the office, and that's just not the way it is. So we want proactive patrols. We want the officers out and about. So we don't know response times, and we shouldn't really base that off of any location in the city limits. That'll vary.
I will clarify here that 18 is a criteria that we added because for police, it is not something we normally have. But for fire stations, which we use the same criteria for, it is a big deal. So, but thank you, chief. So maybe in this case, 18 and 13, we'll say that that's one thing. And I think I heard that chief said there's really no difference between the two sites.
There's no advantage to either.
Between 13 and 15.
15.
Sorry,
15 and 18.
sorry, you're right. 15 and 18. Yes.
We wanna
Okay.
have those all the same. Rating.
Okay, all right. Perfect. The next one is current ownership, and what this one is really aimed at is just painting a picture. Is there one seller here and you just have to negotiate with that person? It's going to be super easy. And then is there multiple ownerships, several parcels that you have to negotiate with several different people to try to get a deal to come together? those being the opposite ends. But in this particular case, I think at the Columbia, it's one owner and we have a school district. So it might be equal between the two, but school districts in the news, there could be some stuff that might make things complicated from a political standpoint. So anyway, that might be a thing.
Well,
Is
there
there?
was also contingency for the Boulevard sell, right? That
Yep.
we had to wait and there was some other details of that.
Wasn't there a financial benefit too by having a potential lease for a period of time and then buy out or something?
Which one are you talking about?
Columbia.
Columbia? Yeah, I don't, I can speak to that. We talked to him about leasing the property. And it was a very reasonable, cheap, less than an interest payment would be. And he would do that until it'd be in his estate. And upon his death, sometime after that, then it would transfer and become due at some point in time. And this is all a negotiable type of thing. So the, what you want, $1 million?
Yeah.
It's a set price still.
So the $1 million that price, we'd buy that for, he will let us take it over, subordinate the property, and he'll carry a contract on that we pay him like $5,000 a month for it. And this may all be different numbers now. It's been a while. And then upon his death and his estate would deal with it.
The price is set for the property. It'd be $1 million, even if he dies 10 years.
It's today's price, not.
Potentially, it
Well,
hasn't been.
Yeah, that's all negotiation. It's, I'm sure people we deal with, they're gonna want their money, but we're getting a benefit to use that money for construction and whatever. And then down the road, you'll have time to be able to structure more financing for the property, or hopefully we can get close and have some left over, so. It's
An element of vagueness to it that.
the vagueness is on the Gable Road. You don't know about the wetlands, you don't know about the school, of how much they want.
Selling it. I will tell you this, though, that the school district has said that they intend to use the money from the sale of Gable Road to enhance the high school with their softball fields and baseball fields. So that's, we're going to bat over here, but just making sure everybody knows.
They'd be cycling the money that they get.
And would you want to, base an opinion about building somewhere off of that? I don't think so. I don't think that's, very valuable. Heartedly, but just putting it out there. Gables for me.
Okay, John.
It sounds like. In either case, we have interested sellers. Am I reading that correctly, or am I
Do
misunderstanding?
they own it? Do they actually own it? Or is it just an option they're making it if they get the city to join them?
Well, the city, well, the school district definitely owns it because they're doing stuff with it out
Yeah,
there.
the school owns the property, yeah.
What are they gonna sell it for?
And that's the issue. We don't know how much.
There's a lot of variables.
We know they're considering selling it.
And a school board we have to deal with.
That is very true.
Changes.
It's been changing.
I would give it Columbia by like a whisker. Not that you can measure whiskers, just put Columbia.
You just did.
I did.
That's my point.
Equal for me.
I'm gonna call it equal. I just don't know.
Columbia, Mark.
I'm gonna say Gable.
I'm Columbia.
I'm Gable.
Right.
You almost said Gable, didn't you?
I had to think twice.
I
but-
thought you did. I thought, wait, did she?
So you're right now, you're just, yeah.
So I'm gonna defer to Jacob or Ryan here on the next one, but the next one is related to land use. So again, the example I would typically get on this would be outright allowed use versus a non-allowed use, and you'd have to go with any change. I think both of these sites have some issues with having to rezone and
And I would say there's some logic for the school district to, because for them to expand the school facility in apartment residential, it's a conditional use permit. It's a permitted use if it's public lands. Public lands would meet the goal of the school district and the city if it went there. And so that is an option. So we don't have to go to R5 because we have a recently adopted housing needs analysis that says we're cool as far as our housing inventory. So now's a good time to rezone. I think the public lands would be cleaner, but we have to change the color on the map and, you know,
Hey, love map.
does that make it a bigger deal than the other one? You know, there's a process. I think though, you know, there's always that neighbor wild card. And the 1771 Columbia Boulevard site has the insulation of the rights of way along all sides. With this one, we know that there are concerned neighbors. I mean, you know that now already based on the testimony you heard earlier today. So I don't know, Brian, do you have any additional?
Isn't there also the part of it is in Columbia County, so that's out of,
Yeah, there's an annexation
Yeah.
component, yeah.
yeah, so that's out of the city's control on that.
Well, I mean,
Right?
we get approval to annex and just go through the process.
Bill. The a hurdle to go.
Today, yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of the rezone process, it's the same process for each, so the timing is the same. Now there might be more friction with one side versus the other. And then after rezone, it could either be site development review for Columbia or conditional use permit for cable. Really, those timeframes are not significantly different, so from my perspective, we're pretty close to the timing of some of these.
I find it very interesting that you're asking this question of the planning commission where this is being heard in front of our panel. I'm really uncomfortable with this question. I'm just gonna lay that out there.
You can abstain. In which case they would be deemed equal.
And does the wetlands waivers factor into this part? That seems like it would impact land use potentially.
Well, technically it's not land use because it's state.
Fair enough.
But it is definitely a factor,
It is use of
it's
land,
in there
but not land
somewhere.
use.
Yes,
It's a permitting thing, though.
yeah.
Columbia.
John?
Columbia.
Columbia, there's just a few less hurdles to go through on that.
Columbia from our. Brook.
I'm Columbia too, and just because if anybody was around for the Warren Neighborhood Association in the nineties where Walmart sits now is decided by neighbors, so. That's expensive to me, so Columbia.
I'm not gonna answer this one.
I think they're equal.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Columbia.
Okay. All right, well, we'll give Adrian just a moment here and she'll share with us the tally. Wish we could visually show you, but
Builds suspense.
I know, right?
To double check the Excel form. to make sure.
Something else I know that was mentioned, I just want to make sure that I have reported something that I know about. There was, that site on Columbia used to be a former PD building. So there was some mitigation, very light mitigation, nothing serious, but there is some things under the ground that need to be mitigated from that previous.
We're given no further action by DEQ.
I just want to make sure there's
That's right.
tanks under the ground and
Tanks
stuff
are
we
clean.
talked about. I just want to say that on public record that I knew about that and I have told you guys about it.
Thank you.
We've actually done environmental reports for both the sites.
There you go. I just want to say it though.
One of the area, but
And I'd like to say I was involved with the initial site selection for police station. What was that, 5 years ago, 5 years ago?
Well, they said it started in 19, it was certainly
19,
part of
oh,
that
yeah.
effort, so.
Yeah, so we came up with the number one site was Columbia Boulevard. And for some reason. it ended
We're
up-
back.
For some reason it down Portland Road, but I don't know why, but and then yeah, well, we won't talk about the planning commission.
No, the original plan had Unicourt, council chambers and all that.
Probably wouldn't have fit.
And we didn't think it would fit,
That makes sense.
right? But now that it's a police station,
Right.
now we're talking.
Okay,
Well, and we own that land, so that weighed into that factor as well. That was land that we didn't have to
yeah,
purchase.
but all that dirt we had to move.
I'm not saying anything about the
Orange-
dirt. I'm not saying anything. I'm just telling you.
But it's all behind us now, right? It's all,
Ready?
yeah, I think we're ready.
Okay, so total score for Columbia Boulevard is 288 points and total score for Gable Road is 202. So Columbia Boulevard.
But what's interesting is sometimes they can be really close, but anybody that had the whisper or they didn't want to vote on it, you can see as we went through this, everybody rendered their opinion on it. Very distinct difference. It wouldn't have made a difference for a few points here or there. It was very obvious. That's great. I think the objective today was to come together, both city council and the planning commission, to achieve this is a site we actually want to work with.
Take two.
Yes, and to get one of the pictures up on the wall so that we are, yeah, I appreciate that. So that way, you know, we have our projects up here.
Yeah, yep.
We brought one for Chief Jen.
Appreciate it. Two for you here. So with that, if I could collect, I think some of you actually did your notes, but not everybody. It's like.
You want my name on it?
I mean, I can give it to you. It was a straight line down for the most part.
That's okay. That's all right. Yeah, if you put your name on it, that'll be great. We'll attach this with our spreadsheet and we'll send that off to the city so they have it. So.
So Mike, back to your question, are there any factors relevant to law enforcement that we're missing out? Because y'all have the subject matter expertise on that. It seems relevant to ask.
Good question, and no, I think that's around here, recruiting and progress, then I think that's what the officers.
Sounds good.
They just want a building.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where are you in your design consent? Level of design, where are you?
So with the last site we got through DD,
sorry,
which is equivalent to like 60 to 70%. But now we have to basically take the building and put it on a new site.
Just for.
So there will be some catch up that needs to happen with our site disciplines, our civil land engineers. But the building, we think on both of these will require pretty minimal efforts. The building itself will stay more or less at that UD level, while
Everything else is.
How much money did we spend on the feasibility on Cable Road?
I don't know, I was jumping up and down on that one because I think it was approved for 200,000, but I don't know how much.
Much less than that.
I think the school district was doing something too, so we use some of their, or we use something else for their.
Where do we go from here? We're done?
Yeah, I think the real purpose of this meeting was to get the city council and the planning commission together, aligned, going a common direction on a project, and you know, it's not done until it's done, but.
Yeah, and we want to make sure, obviously, you guys are involved because you're an essential component to it, right? Everything needs to be running through you all, so we can't just make a decision. So that's the other helpful piece. You know, getting us all to the table here, getting this done so we can have some actionable items, whatever they may be.
Yeah, with common trust.
Right. Yeah.
That's, you know, some of the early parts of this effort, little squirrely, and you know, we saw the result of that, so.
I still wonder about the results that we got, because as I was telling him that when he does his presentation or gives the final results, we don't have this isn't weighted. We don't
Jacob,
know for sure.
can you weigh in what you just said earlier about the initial like property and we ended up, you know, in the same place? You just kind of rendered it a little.
Sure, yeah, just what
Yeah.
so, the one sanctioned, comprehensively multidisciplinary selection scoring method was the one that resulted in the Columbia Boulevard site. That's, you know, that's the one comprehensive effort that we've done that led to that. And so, you know, taking out opinions and anything like that, if we just look at the process that we went through in the past, you know, to my mind, that's why that would elevate. You know, as long as there's no clear kryptonite that the police identify, and it doesn't sound like, you know, he didn't say Superman will lose his power here, so. And, you know, there's something to be said about, you know, forever, I've heard people talk about, you're not spending any effort, you're not giving Holton any effort. And this is a chance. Have a consensus.
Right.
For Holton.
And I'm not trying to sway opinion, just, you know, thoughts that have occurred, because we've had time to think about this. But as a reminder, the joint meetings are not a time to make decisions. You know, that would be for the council at the appropriate regular session, be it tonight or a future one.
I don't feel like as a member of planning commission, I don't feel like it's my role to say where the city council decide to put its money. And whether, it's worth the extra money to do Columbia Boulevard site or not. I do think as members of the planning commission, I can say that it would be very good for Holton, and it would be. We're going to have a nice civic building. It's nice to have it somewhere that's part of the civic structure already.
But I have to say that was a great exercise because I fully came into this kind of thinking that I was really excited about Gable and most of my interests were Columbia. So that was a good exercise. It's that put my mind a little bit. So
Well, like Russ, I was part of that initial committee and then part of the planning commission decision, and I feel like in the committee, we were steered to a certain decision. Or trying to be steered to a certain decision that the staff at the time was trying to sell us. They were selling us
Oh,
on
yeah,
it.
there
They
was-
came back to Columbia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was told that, I had some questions, like I like to ask questions, and they said, oh, go see Jacob. Totally off the committee, then I gave up. Yeah. So.
Well, hopefully you feel redeemed.
I know,
It felt like a very open process where everybody had,
We didn't take
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, no, I
I hope you
appreciate
feel that way, because that's the intention.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the exercise. It's just, but I really appreciate Russ's input on, where he jumped in and about the negotiation and the potential lease and things, because I feel like in other things, we've gotten part of the information. Initial committee, we got part of the information. Nobody ever said it was in a floodplain. In planning commission, we get the presentation. Of course, when they present to the council, it's going to be a better presentation because they could see our reaction and see how we do. So you can't expect different results there, that they're going to give the exact same presentation, but I'm pleased. I mean, if we would have gone with the Gable Road site, I think it would have been terrible without public testimony and giving the neighbors an opportunity. It's right in their backyard. I will say I've sold real estate for 31 years and it would affect all their property values unfairly. So
We're dealing with one person that wants to sell it. I offered to him, we'll put his name on the front. He goes, no. So that didn't buy me anything, but at least I got him talking to extend the offer, and then we can worry about, and down the road, we'll pay for it, but it's all negotiations, and so we can work a good deal.
Well, and I think no matter where we put the police station, we want the public involved, and there's neighbors in this building location as well. So everyone should be involved and just feel like they're part of it, and hopefully embrace it, that they're having our police that is so loved in our community right there.
And we started this in 2019. I mean, let's get it done. Let's
Yeah.
just get it done. Let's start building like.
I've been saying that for 4 years.
I saw a lady on TV the other day. She said 6 months.
I said breakthrough.
Oh.
Let's do something. Let's do something. We'll dig up some sewer, some 6-inch sewer.
yeah, I just want to say.
Chris and I'll be out there. We know how to operate equipment.
We're gonna dig it.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
very,
We'll get the permit, don't
We
worry.
have some dirt.
my criticism doesn't mean
you know what?
sound like I
Yeah.
don't want the police station. I did
Yeah.
the tour of the station. It's horrible what they deal with now. Very pro-police. I was a military police officer. And they need a new police station. So I'm very supportive of it, and I'm glad we got back to this site.
I'm glad we're all on the same page. It needs to be like this going forward.
Yeah, maybe we should share some of those photos with the public because I think
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize how bad it is.
I thought those pictures were actually really well done compared to what like it generally, it's like they cleaned house, right? Before like the real dirt came in. No, we're not being rude.
We all do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You had,
As someone who works with evidence retention on a daily basis, I salute y'all for what you're doing with that tiny evidence room.
Oh, it's
That
atrocious.
terrifies me.
It's
And I-
staff that
I
fill
am-
it up.
I'm willing to guess that can't have any cold storage in there for like animal bodies or anything like that. Like I am impressed that you're able to do what you're able to do with the station that size. We just need to get you a new
you
facility.
could be a victim of a crime and the perpetrator of the crime
Yeah.
would walk right past you while you're there and
Yep.
the
Yep.
same terrible.
Not to mention not separate gender locker rooms, so
Yeah.
people can't change. They're changing in front of each other. There's lots of problems.
That's it.
All right.
All right.
John, you got anything else?
No, I mean, staff has been looking for direction, our design team, contractor, and everybody, we want to build this. We've been wanting to build this for quite some time, and I don't know if it's appropriate for this group to make a motion or if.
Well,
When they first started the joint meetings, one of the things we said is no decisions.
Decisions, okay, so maybe the council takes it up in the evening session.
I think the idea is we have the data for the council to contemplate in their decision making.
Perfect. All right, well then, if there's nothing else, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much. Yeah.
All right. Ready? Ready? No, that's not even- I'm going to-
Why you're so like that? We're ready? All right, so we are gonna start this regular council session today. It's Wednesday, February 5th at, oh shoot, 7:30 PM. So let's see, are we on, Kathy? Yes. Okay, so at the first council regular session for this council up here, we started recognizing hometown heroes. And so today we are going to be celebrating Douglas Walker. And we're gonna give Kathy, our city recorder, the honor to actually introduce and give a bio because this is her father. So go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor. I am proud and honored to introduce to you my father, Doug Walker, a very humble and proud veteran and patriot living here in St. Helens for the past 20 years. My dad served in the United States Marine Corps beginning in 1962 at Camp Pendleton in California. His primary duty was as a Hawk missile radar technician. He was deployed overseas to Vietnam in 1965 and was honorably discharged as a Sergeant E5 in 1966. During his distinguished service, Dad was honored with the Good Conduct Medal plus all boots on the ground related medals for his service in Vietnam. His greatest achievement, as he puts it, is surviving the military intact. And I'm thankful for that, otherwise I would not be here today. Over the past 10 years or so, Dad and Mom have participated in Run for the Wall as a chase vehicle. Run for the Wall is a motorcycle ride that takes place annually in May with hundreds of motorcycles venturing out from 3 routes. The ride honors veterans, their families, and friends and raises awareness of those who are still missing, including prisoners of war, POWs, and missing in action, MIAs. The run starts in Ontario, California, and 10 days later ends at the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. Many riders and participants find a great deal of healing along the run. They also educate school children along the route about POWs and MIAs. The kids love it when they visit each year. Prior to the start of Run for the Wall, Dad and Mom participated in the Alaska Airlines Fallen Soldier Car Escort several times. This is a group of patriots who accompany a fallen soldier's remains on their final journey to their resting place. Many of the Run for the Wall riders also participate in the escort. As of June of last year, there are 16 carts across the country that respectfully transport the remains of fallen service members. While in Washington, D.C. area last year for the run, Dad was honored and privileged to participate in the laying of a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery on Memorial Day, something he will never forget. In addition to participating in these national events, Dad serves as the vice president of the local Hometown Heroes of Columbia County, started by the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. With help from the community, they support the military, including the National Guard here in town, sending care packages while they serve overseas. Hometown Heroes also organizes the local Wreaths Across America, which happens every December across the United States. At Columbia Memorial Gardens, volunteers gather to lay wreaths at the resting place of hundreds of veterans, letting their loved ones know that they will never be forgotten. Hometown Heroes does many things to honor and remember those who served and those who are serving. Dad is also one of only 2 local volunteer drivers for the VA, driving Columbia County veterans to and from healthcare appointments. And finally, you will never see my dad wearing anything but a red shirt on Fridays. Fridays are Red Shirt Fridays. RED stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. Let us not forget the military personnel who signed a blank check to serve our country selflessly, and their families who are dedicated in supporting them. It is with great pride that I have the honor and privilege to welcome my dad, my hero, Doug Walker, to lead us in the pledge.
Join us. Pledge allegiance.
Kathy, for that wonderful introduction. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here and for your service. Yeah. Love that. What a way to start the meeting. I love that. All right. So now We will move into visitor comments. This is a time for visitor comments. It's a essential part of local government meetings. Each person has 3 minutes. Please keep it at your 3-minute time allotment, please. Also sign in on the back. Staff and the city administrator will be taking notes for an actionable item, so we can't get back to you if we don't have your contact information back there. And then when you come up, please just state your name. So whoever would like to speak first. State your name, please, for the record.
My name is Brady Preheim. Sorry, John. These are easy words. Seem to be really hard for you, but they shouldn't be, because you were certainly happy to call him out and call for his resignation. And it's time for you to apologize. It's not that bad. You are the first person that I know of that was blackballed from the Elks. That is because people know that you're a hypocrite. And that you can sit here and you can attack people and then yet think that accountability is for everybody but you. It's not. I have not had more people contact me about stuff that you do in the background ever. I mean, it's amazing. And frankly, it shocks me about all the different accusations I've heard, part of what only that I've brought up, because usually I don't talk about them unless I can verify them. But I've never heard of anybody being blackballed from the Elks. It's pretty amazing to me that happens. But again, you can apologize to John. I think you should. I also think that the building site location needs input from the public, which you didn't get. You need buy-in from the people. I'm frankly amazed that the police station is coming in at $11 million. I think that's probably unrealistic. I believe that the budget for it was 18 million 2 years ago, 3 years ago when they did it. I don't believe it's going to be $11 million anywhere near that number. I think it's going to be double or triple that. And finally, I think it's ironic that you can do what you want with your money, but I think that giving it to your own nonprofit is pretty ridiculous. If you want to actually do something, why don't you give it to Kiwanis? You're going to give it to someone that would use it. I don't frankly know what Sarah Zuber's foundation is going to do with what is it? $2,500, $25,000, whatever it is going to be over your term. Give it to somebody that would actually use it. Thanks.
Next person, please.
Adam St. Pierre. Well, I wasn't gonna speak, but that I have to based on the nonprofit for Sarah Zuber that Jen's donating her stipend to. Our organization has absolutely nothing to do with that, by the way. That was started by the Zuber family. I have no idea what they're gonna do with it either, but that is totally their thing. It has nothing to do with our organization. So aside from that, I did want to say, I like the new procedure of having a hometown hero do the Pledge of Allegiance, and thank you for your service, not only while you're in, but after you got out. All those things are important. And That's really all I had to say. I wasn't gonna say anything, but you know, the misinformation that is being put out by a certain person is very disturbing. So, thank you.
Public comment, please. Is there anybody online, Kathy?
Nobody raised their hand.
Perfect. All right, so we are moving on to number one, the ordinance for the first reading. So we have an ordinance amending the St. Helens Municipal Code chapters 17.16, 17.32, 17.80, and 17.96 pertaining to the Oregon House Bill 3395, circa 2023, regarding single room occupancies and other housekeeping amendments.
Make an adoption or adopts.
First reading, right?
Oh.
First reading.
It's the first reading.
I think.
You want me to explain it at all?
Well, this is
Tell me
the
about
accommodations for the last time we discussed.
The
it, right? There you
housekeeping and
go.
all of
Short
that.
and
We
sweet.
removed that stuff and actually it's not as much material as I thought. So most of the effort is preserved.
Thank you, Jacob. All right, next item is award bid contract. So number two, award bid and contract to Mason, Bruce and Garrard for forestry management services.
I move we award the bidding contract as read.
All right, so a motion has been made and seconded. Councilor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Councilor Gunderson.
Aye.
Councilor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. And it gets hard late in this day. All right, consent agenda for acceptance. Number three, Parks and Trails Commission minutes dated December 9th, 2024. And number four, Library Board minutes dated December 9th, 2024.
I move we approve consent agenda items 3 and 4 as read.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Councilor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Councilor Gunderson.
Aye.
Councilor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Consent agenda for approval, number five, OLCC licenses, number six, account payable bill lists.
I move we approve consent agenda items 5 and 6 as read.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Councilor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Councilor Gunderson.
Aye.
Councilor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right. So these are our work session items. All right, did everybody get one of these? Oh. Did you take one and pass it? No. All right. Actually, did you want to do it? I don't think we had it.
Oh, there's not enough.
Can you guys?
Sure.
You and I first. Oh, thank you. Here. give me that one. All right, so our work session action items was a request from Habitat for Humanity. And it was to reduce the system development charges by 50% and waive the sidewalk fee in lieu of.
I moved where the sidewalk fee in lieu of and simply reduce the system development charges by 50%.
Second that, and then do we have any discussion? I mean, we've been,
When
is
you
this something?
gave a sidewalk fee, Jacob. So normally they would have to pay for a sidewalk in front of their property, correct?
Yeah, so when we have development like that, there's a couple things that we need to consider as staff. Either the street frontage improvement is constructed, the curb, sidewalk, those kind of things. Or if it just doesn't seem practical, we have the option of requiring the fee in lieu of, which is 125% of the cost. And in this case, that was the condition that we included as far as one of the things they had to do. And so if it's forgiven, then it's just forgiven. And so what happens to that money is it goes into a pool for frontage improvements somewhere in the city. So it'd just be relief from,
You're waiving the fee though, also. No,
yeah.
There would be no money into the,
So yes, so that means they're free and clear of having to worry about the frontage stuff. Be it a physical improvement or a fee.
So there's no monies to be put back in the coffer because they're not paying that also.
That's correct.
So so are there any sidewalks on either side of that property?
It's been a little while, but I do not recall sidewalks in that segment of street. And as Habitat mentioned, the street is significantly skewed because we have these huge rights of way in town. And sometimes the street's right in the middle. In this case, it's significantly skewed to the other side. So between their property line and the street, it's almost like a football field. That's an exaggeration, but it's a significant swath of land. So it would just be weird to put a sidewalk where you would have it and then have the street over here, and for good street planning, it's impractical.
Have the historical information for the last time they built here. What did we do?
It's been a while.
Did
Remember
we-
the last time?
I don't recall what happened with the SDCs, but I know the sidewalk fee has been waived prior.
So this is
That had a sidewalk.
pretty similar to what we've done in the past. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
12th Street, correct?
Yeah, it's on 12th Street.
And that already had a sidewalk.
I don't think this portion does. I think this is the far south side.
And maybe it wasn't the last time,
One done.
But you're,
The last
you're
one.
talking about the last project. Oh, I don't know.
but I know,
It's been a while.
I know we've waived it in one of their projects.
What's your concern about that?
I
I'm gonna put you on the spot, but I'm just curious what your thought
I-
is there.
only thing is you're waiving, they can not build a sidewalk. If someone else wants to do the same thing, they would have to pay that fee to go into the coffers that the city could use that later for a sidewalk or something else. Because so they're essentially saying pay for some sidewalk, but we're not gonna make you do it. Now they're getting, the fee's gonna get waived and they're being allowed to do that. So it's another ask is what I'm saying of the.
Yeah, it is to ask, yeah.
I just-
I just
They
think-
pay the fee then. And we waive the.
I don't, cause I'm on the other side of the coin, you know?
Yeah, but your opinion's valuable.
Well. I just think the giveaways, I mean, we did this with the Gable Road Apartments, so they don't pay any taxes or water fees, and then here we go, we're subsidizing now on a bigger scale. These are small scales, and I don't want to put a damper on any of this stuff, so but I just want to bring that up, like, we have these fees, okay, well, we need to take a look at those fees, and maybe we're just increasing them because we've got so much increased costs now with this new development here that it really doesn't represent the whole city. They have no problem raising all these fees. I mean, permit fees are ridiculous. So is building construction, so they're, the municipalities are one of the problems with increased costs of building.
He wanted his opinion, he gave it.
So that's it, that's my opinion. And that got us nowhere, but I mean, I'll just,
To vocalize it so that we can consider it.
I can.
Yeah.
I mean, my thought is they're a really great, nonprofit program that really helps a lot of people that may not ever have an opportunity to buy a home or own their own home. So if they feel like this is something, that may help them be able to do this for somebody, I think it's worth it. That's, just the humanitarian side of me thinking for, somebody who might not be able to own a home.
Then my second question is, would we reasonably expect for a second ask even this year? Like, I know that they said that they're not doing that many projects, but also setting the precedence for that, right? That's how often have we seen this? Do we anticipate these this year that are gonna be the same expectation? Cause you kind of have to treat them the same, right? Generally.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And, thinking typically this is only came from Habitat. I don't recall, it may have come up from another source, but it would have been a one-off. How often is it? Less than a year, less than one a year. for sure.
We have, and this might be a silly question, but do we have any other nonprofit or entities out here that are also, you know, doing housing that is benefiting like the lower income or assisting, that we would have them come and ask us as well?
Yeah, the only examples, I can't think of an example of a single family dwelling builder other than Habitat. The other examples I can think of course, Broadleaf Arbor is one. And then there were also, I think it was 12 or 16 or 8. It's been several years now, but up in Holton by
The action team.
yes, thank you.
You were thinking of that one?
So that's another example. And both of those had deed restrictions that capped the rent to a certain percentage of median wage. And did they ask for anything? Broadleaf Arbor didn't. That other project, it's been too long. My memory's fuzzy. But the fact that my memory is fuzzy is a testament to the infrequency of the request.
We're getting leak adjustments request a lot more frequently than we are. It's my opinion.
That was part of my thought process, is that we get these so infrequently. I think she's maybe come once since I've been here in 2 years, so. I think it's a good cause.
And I'll say, the reason when that came on and I was hanging out here is because it had been a while. And we didn't discuss it too much in advance, and I just wanted to make sure we had that input from the past, so.
It's funny how you just come out of the like walls when you start talking about code and.
That's where he like runs from upstairs down here, like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah. Okay.
The two prongs to this is the street fees. And then also the statutory requirement for the STCs. So if you do waive the STCs, we need to find somewhere else in the budget to fill those funds that it impacted, so.
That's the challenge I have right now, also with the budget, is that piece. The sidewalk fee, as you explained earlier, makes more sense, but also we're, you know, having issues with our budget right now, so.
And our utility.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sewer lines and water lines, they're mostly sewer lines. At capacity already, so that's
very true.
the kind of funds that's for, so.
I think I'd be more in favor of the sidewalk and not do this at DCs.
Is there an existing sidewalk near the property?
No, that's
I
what
don't
we
believe
were
so.
just.
I looked it up on a map yesterday and
So, waive the sidewalk, keep the fees. One or the other. That's what we're gonna, where is it at?
Well, the SECs, we have to find somewhere else, whether it comes out of whatever fund, like the community development, we have to actually.
Well, however,
Sidewalk, we don't.
whatever.
Keep the SDCs and wait.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what.
That makes sense to me.
I mean, it's, yeah, I know it's for a great good, but we all feel the pain, and should the pain come back on us? We're got this one sector. I felt really good about when they said that they have parameters on, someone can't just build it and then go, I'm gonna sell this.
Sell it or
So That,
something, yeah.
that's one question I was curious about, but that's good.
Do you wanna vote on this one and then put another one out? We've already got this one in motion, so we neither need to shoot it down or approve it.
I think we need to shoot it. We still need to vote on it, right? So we
Yeah,
can-
that's what I was
Somebody
prompting you
needs
to do.
Somebody needs to make a motion.
There's already a motion with second on the
oh,
table, so we just
yeah.
need to call us to vote, Mayor.
Yes, okay, we'll get that done. We're making through it. It's Counselor Sundin.
No.
Council President Chilton.
No.
Counselor Gunderson.
No.
Counselor. No, it is, and I'm not, I know as well. Man, I'm getting tired. We've been at this a long time. Yeah. Okay, so do we want to make another motion? Do you want to do
Yeah,
that?
I'll make a motion to waive the sidewalk fee for this project.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, that puts us to the release of reports on police Chief Brian Greenway. So the discussion on the table shows redacted or unredacted investigation report.
Motion, yep, okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we release the redacted investigation report on Police Chief Brian Greenway.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Discussion? Huh?
Besides whether.
Yeah.
redacted or not.
Yeah, I mean, the discussion right now is redacted or unredacted. And referring to specifically the names, right? Just the names in the report, not the content or anything in there, but just in general officers' names. That's what we've got to figure out at this
Along
point.
with the stuff that was already redacted.
Yes, that was already redacted. That had nothing that was germane to the actual the investigation did not pertain to, and they were unfounded accusations. Or rumors.
Preference.
Or the
The redacted version.
redacted.
I think my biggest thing about this is to be as transparent as possible. This is a very sensitive topic and it's a very hard thing to go through as a city. And so and I'm really proud of the staff that stepped up to talk about this issue, but it is also our job to protect them as, staff and employees of our city. So we're just trying to do the best thing for the staff and do the best thing with being very transparent about the situation that is tough.
Counselor Hubbard?
I'll go with redacted. I think for the explanation we got, it was wise to probably have that, and there's not very much redacted, so. I mean, it's all gonna get second guessed anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm seriously like split on the fence for it because I feel like when you read the report, you're gonna know exactly who the people are. So that's gonna be, that's gonna be one of those things. And so it's like, is the effort worth to redact? I get the morale piece and, to protect the names, but it also takes away any of the ambiguity and uncertainty, and I also think that it probably, it's more transparent to put the just unredacted out there. It is, kind of what it is. So I'm just really torn on this in general. Because I just feel like you're gonna know who has provided the information. So it's like, is it worth, the effort but I also get the point of protected the employees. It's really the content and the actions and behaviors in the report that is, really gonna be the most important factor versus.
The big takeaway and the majority of that will be there. I don't think the names contribute a lot. I know you say most people will be able to look at that and figure out who it is, but I would say the majority of people in this city would have no idea when they look at that whose names are being mentioned.
I mean, the content's intact, like all of the statements, informations, facts, conclusions, all of that remains germane to the investigation, and that is all there. And the fact that, we are releasing the entire investigation in its entirety is transparent. There's no executive level memos. It is the good, bad, and ugly of the entire
There's no
report.
pick and choose summary. This is what we got.
Yeah. Also can see the employee morale piece as well. And it's literally the names. Any other discussion? It's unfortunate we're talking about this currently right now.
Like I said, it's really, just really tough. And you know, we're gonna have a lot to talk about and answer to.
I know, I'm just really, I'm actually very excited for the report to come out because the people that had been slewing misinformation are gonna be pleasantly surprised or humbled by their misnomers. So I'm excited to get this out into the public. Well, not excited, but it needs to be done. All right. You never does enough.
We already have a motion
I know.
on the table.
I was like, I know, I'm like taking a
Call
breath.
vote.
I know. Okay, Counselor Sundin,
I,
Council President
Has
Chilton.
there been a motion?
Yeah.
Yes, motion with the second
With
to
redacted.
release the redacted. With the redacted parts being the main, that main portion and the names.
And by the main portion, it
Of
was
the
the one that's not
private,
germane,
yeah.
to anything to do with the investigation. Council President Chilton.
Aye.
I'm gonna be as I as well. I didn't have to say your name, thank you. We got it. So all eyes.
The other issue is the direction on the police station project. It's for session, not really work session, but it's special session.
So what is John, what is the actual direction is to go, I mean, do we as direct staff to, what is the next step that we have here? We have the joint planning commission is to go back to the planning commission, like what kind of action are we doing right now that we need to make a motion on?
I think it's, you know, we have two potential roads to travel. If we know that this is the road we're gonna travel down, then we can develop the appropriate strategies based on that road.
Okay, so,
And so if council, I think as staff, you know, if the council, yes, this is the site we wanna focus on, then we can focus on it. And the purpose of the collaboration is to make sure there's a sense of trust and involvement to increase the probability of success going forward. Whichever road we decide to traverse.
we can make a motion to direct staff
That's what
to
I'm gonna do.
continue.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, we got it.
I'll
Thank
make
you.
a motion to direct staff to continue to pursue the Columbia Boulevard location for the police station.
Second that.
What does that mean though? Pursue it.
Well, we're gonna go to all of the steps now. We've decided this is where we're gonna put all our eggs in this basket and work on it.
First things first, you don't have anything until you make a
Mm-hmm.
commitment to that property with the seller. Okay.
That'll be what we're doing.
We're doing, okay.
High five.
What's on, last decision was to work on the Gable Road project, so we're kind of changing.
Changing direction now. Formally.
Do that again.
Don't say Gable Road.
Commit.
Who knows?
Yeah, don't.
Lord.
Yeah, we're past that. Okay, did you make a motion?
I did. It's
Okay.
been seconded.
Perfect. All right. Motion and second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I'm I as well. All right, we have a direction. All right, that was it for the work session items, right? Okay, so then we have council member reports. Counselor Sundin.
Not a lot to report other than the Parks and Trails Commission will be meeting next week. They've got two applicants, I believe, one opening right now, so both of them look like very strong applicants, so they'll be interviewing them and hopefully have a full crew to work with soon. And just want to say thank you for everybody that participated in the planning session on Friday. And was happy with how it turned out and to see so much collaboration and just a feeling of optimism. So excited for the future and the directions that we're moving. So, thanks, everybody.
I went to the city county dinner last night and we talked a lot about, FEMA and some of the floodplain issues that we're seeing. Everything comes down to pipeline, even to the cities. So we're just seeing a lot of, the changes with the federal government and some of those influences to the cities. And so we're trying to keep a pulse on that. And it was really good to see some of the progress happening in Scappoose and Columbia City and Prescott. And it's always good to get with those guys and just, check on how Columbia County is doing because it's a good whole picture view. I also wanted to give a shout out to Public Works. They've been really working hard. We've had some weird weather and we're probably gonna have some more crazy weather and they've been out there every day cleaning the roads and taking care of the roads and just really maintaining stuff to keep the city moving. So I just wanna publicly announce, you know, that I'm really proud of them and I see them out there and thank them for their work out there. And then finally, I wanted to take the time to read this letter on behalf of this Joanne Fogel, the president from the St. Helens Senior Center Board of Directors. She sent us a letter after a recent meeting and she just asked if we could read this and clarify some statements that were made. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my report. Dear St. Helens City Council, we appreciate that City Administrator Walsh and Council President Chilton attended our last board meeting and offered the continued support of the city to the St. Helens Senior Center. After listening to the council's work session on December 18th, we wish to correct some misinformation that was reported about the center. Mr. Walsh told council that funds from Top Notch Thrift Store go to the senior center for food and for the meal program, and that there was a question as to where that money should be going now that CAT has taken over the program. It was made clear during our board meeting that the revenue generated by the store has always gone to the center's general fund. Those funds pay for the operations of the senior center and its programs. Since home delivered meals is no longer a program of the centers, the revenue will be used to get the center back on its feet. We were also surprised to hear Mayor Scholl say we were working through some litigation. We are unaware of any litigation involving the center. His statement coming from a city official was alarming to us, especially being included as part of a discussion about our finances. Community members may get the wrong impression and decide not to donate money to us, thinking we are involved in some kind of lawsuit. We respectfully request that the council retract this statement at its next meeting to correct the public record. Thank you for your continued support. Joanne Fogel, President of the St. Helens Senior Center Board of Directors. So I just wanted to publicly state that for her. That's it.
Counselor
Anderson.
I don't have much to report either. I was at the city county dinner. It was a good turnout. President Chilton mentioned, good to know what's going on. Next week is the planning commission meeting as well as the Columbia River Fire and Rescue Board meeting. I'll be attending both of those and I'll pass it to us.
Waiting for the planning commission. You fired me from library, so I got nothing.
Uninvited.
Unemployed.
I invited you, invited myself. Karen
Sure.
Foley, Planning Commission. And then I actually was remiss, John, I apologize. We missed your city administrator report. Do you want to jump in and do that before I do mine?
Yeah, be,
All right.
be fine. Maybe I'll start by on the senior center. Apology for the miscommunication there. I know we were showing up to be supportive of the senior center in whatever way they need to be supported and
It's a complex situation right now, so.
the food program,
Yeah.
there's operations, there's the top notch, how that all works. I'm not super intimate how that works. We want them to be successful. Community action team also wants the meal program to be successful, and they've reached out and they've supplied a letter to the city, you know, requesting a lease agreement when this lease renews in June or July 1. So some more conversations
For the
around that
kitchen?
for the kitchens. The kitchen only, yes, just whatever minimum amount of footprint to make the meals program work, right? So. Back up to, out of order in my notes here, but let's start
Sorry,
with
a little bit, but
I felt like the council work session, strategic planning session last Friday was wonderful. Really helped build the relationship between the council and staff in the latter parts. I think it's a good foundation for building trust, and it's really encouraged about as we move forward in the strategic planning process, the budget process, and make that all work. It's very good. I can report that the school district approved the SRO.
Oh.
And so we have the duty of trying to find an SRO now, so. So they would be paying 100% of those costs, right?
great news. When do we start onboarding?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's budgeting implications with that or not on the school side or not.
I think they're ready to go this year.
Okay.
So, or really want to go next year.
So on the Central Waterfront project, much like the meeting we had tonight, we're going to try to do a March 1st or 2nd meeting in March um, a similar session to check in on the Central Waterfront project and status, direction, now that we have this new geological information that's different than some of our initial presumptions. Just talk about it, talk about the options. And so we're doing some internal work with consultants to kind of frame up that meeting. There'll be another meeting in the middle. Meeting hopefully not as compressed as it was tonight, because that was pretty exhausting. Project Arcadia, we have an extension agreement that's tentatively agreed between the attorneys and staff. It'll come to you probably at the next meeting. It's still on a path towards closing. They're making investments. Everything's going well. Treadway events, we had a check-in meeting. We've been meeting regularly. The itinerary for the 13 nights, they have a draft itinerary for 13 nights, the 4th of July. There's a question around Judy Thompson's kind of stepping down of the role as far as the 4th of July activities. It's gonna be a big hole to fill. Because she was very involved with that. Treadway's questioning what kinds of activities and do we want to do? Should I do the same, do something different, and get some time to figure that out. But they've also are working on Halloween Town for next year and Citizens Day, which is something that I asked them to give a work order price request on it. They've done that. It's $8,200, which is, we felt like that was a very fair from the staff's perspective for the amount of level of effort. We are looking at potentially changing the name from Citizens Day to something else, and we threw out Community Day because citizens right now is a word that's kind of especially with all the immigration policy enforcement that's out there, it might not be as well received.
Maybe like chime in on names.
You want to do a poll on that?
We did that with the road, remember? We had Twilight. We prepared for that. We had Twilight as a.
Whatever, like it's the community day in the park, like Twilight Day.
Halloween Town Day.
You want a survey like that?
Stuff.
I mean, they're a lot of work and you never would know what you get. We were going for something very neutral, like community.
Community is nice.
That's acceptable. We'll run with that. Working with our staff to get an RFP together for dock repairs down on the dock that we got the grant from the Marine Board. Marine Board has a copy of that per their request. Before it comes to you, it'll go to them. Make sure they're getting the bull rails and the docks are 30 years old now, so there's some deficiencies there that need to be fixed. And along with this debris boom that's at the head of the dock, that right now, if there's a big debris flow like there will be in the spring and floods, it'll flood not only our marina, but in every marina down the way. So it's really important that we get that fixed. And we're on a path to do that. The reservoir, we're also internally have a request for proposals, final draft form, so we're circulating that and hopefully having that by the next meeting to get some work on the reservoir. And what that initial work is going to look at is a site selection, suitability. We have our water master plans have some sites identified, but there's not a finer tooth on the geotechnical analysis. That nature. We heard earlier in public comment about concerns about business acts to the construction downtown. I've engaged with Sierra Trass, which does keep it local. She has close ties to Main Street and Columbia Economic Team. And she's coming up with a plan that do some directional signage, address direction to parking, and just to take the edge off a little bit and some lighter humorous types of signage campaign. Pretty nominal cost, but hopefully get us to the point where we can get through this construction and get those key intersections back open. We've been working with the county on a workaround for we've been delayed 3 weeks now on this closure because the county wants to put conditions on the road in front of the courthouse there. So we're exploring a workaround for that as well.
Well, they are gonna use it, but if there's gonna be conditions, is that the general consensus?
That's a general concession, and there's some workarounds too with that too. So I think it shouldn't be any different than it is now with the street as far as two-way or anything like that. City Day at the Capitol. I spent the day down in Salem last Tuesday, talked to both Representative Weber, Senator Weber, Representative Edwards. Both were very generous of their time, gave me a full hour of their time, so we talked a lot about the city's needs and the infrastructure. All that's going on in the city. They're very generous, and they both requested that we make an infrastructure capital ask, and we're doing that. And, similarly, on the federal side, with Merkley and Wyden's representative, they're releasing a CDS, it's called congressionally directed spending. Works formerly known as, but intend to do capital requests for the reservoir. That might be it. We're seeing development interest for the riverfront for development. I've set several interested in the mill site for mill site development. That was getting encouraging. The substation project, sorry for cadence drop there. The substation project at the mill site, finally got the contract docs back from the state after 6 months. So, you know, that has that $2.3 million forgivable loan. We have some time scheduled with PGE to talk about that and the roles and responsibilities, make sure that it's not on the hook for any of that money, everything. I can touch on that one. And I think that concludes my report.
All right, been busy. All right, so I wanted to first start off and thank staff, so Kathy, and Lisa for your work and always being prompt, on everything. And then also, my fellow council members up here. It's been a really long, week and a half, I would say, and today has been especially long, but just the fact that we continue to have open dialogue and everybody is, you know, fostering conversations and we're part of decisions, whether we agree all, you know, unanimously or not. I think it's important. And I just really value each one of you, for that. And then also, I did attend the city county dinner last night. That was my first one. And I thought that it was, pretty amazing to see everybody there, the information that comes down the pipeline. And, you know, just hearing what other cities are doing, the problems or the looking at, what they're overcoming. It's, you know, I think that there can be some lessons learned, from others as well. So I thought it was a great platform. Also, I've been doing a bit of research on the 250th celebration because that's going to creep up on us pretty quickly. The Oregon Mayors Association has a lot of ideas, but I really am hopeful that, you know, council can give direction at really trying to explore that so that we're not caught off guard because everybody's going to be celebrating. It's a pretty big deal. So I think we should be looking at that. Brennan?
July of 2026.
We have our 100th year celebration coming up too. Isn't that what you were talking about?
No, so this is.
Oh,
the
this
one,
is
yeah,
what you were
the
talking about. Okay.
250th,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think, you know, we should at least start talking about it now because then we're not scrambling. I mean, we're proactive when it comes to that. So
I'd like to see us get a little committee together with some interested community members. Be a
Yeah.
couple counselors, some
I think it's a great idea.
discussion.
So there's that. And then, I can't say enough about the strategic planning session that we had on Friday. You know, I was really appreciative for, John to put that together and bring in Rachel. I think doing, you know, it sounds silly, but the personality assessments, I thought that was interesting to see how we operate, you know, just the different dynamics for us as a council up here, our personality types, you know, and then bringing staff in as well and having that type of collaboration, just because anytime there's obviously a new council, new mayor, that there can be a lot of uncertainty and a lot of, you know, concerns, rightfully so. And I thought that that was a very good step at, building that relationship and fostering. And for those very concerned citizens that, you know, are worried about our relationship, John, I want to say that I really appreciate the the copious amounts of time that we have spent together since I have taken this position and really fostering some very positive dialogue, two-way dialogue that is embraced with honesty and openness and direct conversations. And I appreciate that. And I think that we have worked really well together and we've actually made positive differences going forward, which is really important for this entire council for us to be operating. So I appreciate that a lot. So thank you. And with that, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting. It's been a long day.
Thank you.